Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ha-Rakah, Quadash. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and I also want to acknowledge the brethren who are pushing this truth with sincerity. So I was watching TV, the other day, and I saw a commercial come on, right? And it was an army recruiting commercial. So the beast, because of course Babylon's army is part of the beast system. So, when we're in this truth, we look at everything through a spiritual eye. And one of the things I noticed is the army recruiting commercial. They're coming at you with a different tone in these times. All right. So I'm going to read Ecclesiastes 3:1 through 8 really quick, just to set the tone with the scripture. To everything, this is Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get, a time to lose, and a time to lose, and a time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to rend, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate, and a time of war, and a time of peace. What profit? No, actually, I'm going to stop right there. So, I want to read verse 8 one more time. A time to love, a time to hate, and a time of war, and a time of peace. So it brings me to the point of why what inspired me to do this lesson was this commercials, okay? So I want to show you first the army recruiting commercial from the 1980s. I'm gonna play it. It's 30 seconds.
A ranger never takes the easy way out. You're reaching deep inside you for things you never know. That's why getting into the Rangers is tough and the training is tough. Be all that you can be. So it makes me feel like I'm part of something really special. Be all that you can be. And I'm not the only one. You can do it in the army.
Okay, so there's that commercial I wanted to show you. So Esau in the 1980s, because that commercial was from the 1980s, they were basically coming at you with the tone, be all you can be in the army, right? So now I'm going to play the current commercial that I saw on TV just a couple of days ago, all right? So here's this one.
When freedom is threatened around the world, when floodwaters rise and wildfires rage, wherever the fight, whoever the enemy, when America needs her best, she sends a soldier. Do you have what it takes? Find out at goarmy.com/warriors.
Okay, so that was that. I'm going to go back to Ecclesiastes 3:8. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. All right. This is just proof. Esau is even showing you in his army recruiting commercials that hey, we're coming to that time, right? We're in that season. Just like if you read Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. All right, so we are in that season of war, okay? World War III, which is gonna, be the last, the last war, and it's going to, they're going to use nuclear technology, nuclear bombs, nuclear missiles in this last war, which the Bible refers to a war as woe, WOE. Okay, so as you can see in that first commercial in the 1980s, the only thing Army was doing was recruiting people who their slogan was "Be all you can be," and now they've changed their tone. Right, in the new commercial, it says, "Do you have what it takes?" And then the slogan says, "Warriors wanted." So because Esau knows this war is coming, this third world war is coming, and it's getting closer than we all think. All right, that's what the scriptures say. So as you can see, just like Esau changed his tone from the 80s unto the current commercials, he's asking for warriors now. All right, in the 80s, he just wanted you to be all you can be. So I'm going to go to Genesis 27 and 39, and we're going to read 39 and 40. And it says, and this is, let me set this up, is right after Jacob, the Israelite, received the blessing from his father Isaac. And then now this is setting up Esau, who was the firstborn, who was originally, he was supposed to get the blessing, but he sold his blessing to his brother for for some uncooked meat, some soup that wasn't cooked. So the meat was still bloody in it, and he ate that thing. So Genesis 27, this is where he's asking his dad, Isaac, about where's my blessing, okay? So it says in Genesis 27:39, and Isaac his father answered, and he said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right. And I might as well read the next verse. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. So as you can see here, Isaac gave him the blessing, which is the sword, which is war, meaning nobody can war with Esau. All right, that's why he's, got the strongest military in the entire world. Okay, and he's basically, that's his blessing, the sword. All right, and he's been ruling by that sword for a long time. And we're getting close to that time where his blessing is going to be snatched away from him by Yahweh Shai. All right. From here, I want to go to Isaiah 14 and 29. And this reads, Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. All right. So the serpent we know is Esau, all right, from Edom, the so-called white man. And right here, the verse 29, it says, His fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. All right. So that's a parable for a nuclear missile. All right. Because it looks like a serpent flying through the sky with fire. Okay. I just wanted to show you that verse. Now I'm going to jump to Isaiah 54. We're going to go to 16 and 17. And it reads on the bottom of the screen, Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. All right, this is speaking of the nuclear technology, the nuclear missiles, the waster. All right, because it's going to destroy, just like it says. And then I'm going to read 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh. All right, so this is basically 17 is speaking of the elect, because just like in 16 where he's talking about the smith, right? The smith that means to strike or to hit. All right, so he's created the smith, which those missiles are going to strike. They're going to hit Babylon, America. And it's going to bloweth the coals in the fire, and bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy, verse 16 says. And what's that instrument? That instrument is the nuclear missiles. So, because the men of Yahweh, the servants, the prophets who are, risking their lives preaching this truth, risking their freedom preaching this truth, we are going to be the ones who are saved in that day. This is 17 applies to the elect men and that 1/3 of the people attached to them. All right, it says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. So not even nuclear fire is going to be able to harm the elect. And why is that? Because we're going to be taken up in the chariots, the so-called UFOs, when everyone else is getting burned in fire from those missiles. The people that wouldn't repent, the people that stayed in their wickedness, the people that, wanted to continue with their false idols, their false religions, drunk off the wine of Babylon, America. They didn't want to change their ways. But the men, and we're the hopeful elect, are going to be saved with salvation. The so-called UFOs, the chariots of Yahweh, are going to save us. So that's why it says, no weapon is formed against thee shall prosper. All right. So from there, I'm going to jump to Revelation 9. And this is just going to kind of talks about the wars, okay? Then the visions that John had when he was on the island of Patmos. Let me see, 9 and 7. It says, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were the faces of men. All right, and this is describing the locust is a parable for a helicopter. Okay, so if you Google helicopter and you Google an image of a locust, you'll see the resemblance. All right, the prophet John, he couldn't say helicopter. There was no helicopters back then. He called it a locust. All right, you can see the similarity if you Google an image of both the locust and the helicopter. And I'm going to read 9. It says, and they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots, of many horses running into battle. All right. And that's because these helicopters, these fighter planes, these fighter jets, this is they're very loud, They sound like, many horses running into battle, right? And then we're going to go to 10, 9 and 10 in Revelation. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. All right, so the scorpion in this verse 10 is referring to a parable for the tanks, all right, from war. Because John saw war. That's what he was seeing. So the scorpions, he said their tails had stings. So, you know, the tanks, they have, it looks like a tail, right? Where they shoot their firepower from, all right? So that's a parable for a military tank, all right? And then this is just the first woe that he saw, all right? One woe instead of 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. So that was referring to World War I, and there was still 2 more wars hereafter. All right, and I'm going to jump down to, let's go to 16, because this is dealing with the nuclear missiles. It says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire, and smoke, and brimstone. All right, so this is his description of a nuclear missile. Okay, so when a nuclear missile is shot, the head opens up and more missiles come out of the head. All right, if you Google a nuclear missile, being fired, they have like little computer animations of these missiles, these nuclear missiles, and they open up at the front, right? And then more missiles come out. That's what this is speaking of. Their mouths issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. All right. And the top says there were 200,000. All right. So that means, yeah, they when they open up, like 10 other missiles comes out the mouth of those nuclear missiles. I mean, there's different types, but I mean, you can Google and look at the type that I'm speaking of that opens up and more missiles come out. Verse 18, Revelation 9. By these 3 was the third part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads,